Good afternoon. This is Tony Cherniawski, manager of the Practical Investor LLC. Today is August the 6th, 2009, and I'd like to present to you a brief video on the broadening top. This video is meant for instruction and entertainment purposes only. It's not a solicitation to buy or sell any security. The purchase or sale of a security may result in a loss of principal. Please consult with an expert advisor who may explain the risks of any investment you may wish to consider. You cannot invest directly in an index. Well, hello again, and I would like to just bring you some news as it's breaking, so to speak. We have some very, very bullish sentiment in the market right now, and there are people calling for more rally through the end of the year into next, etc., etc. What I would like to do is just give you a brief synopsis of what I'm seeing right here, and I want to let you know that this is done with a little bit of study here, so that I'll have some citations for you as well. So let's go right away to the screen, and we're going to take a look at what's called the broadening top. Here we go. What I'd like to do is show you how the broadening top is formed. This is also known as a 5-point reversal pattern, and you can see there are 5 key points in this pattern. These patterns can be sloping upward or they can be horizontal. It doesn't really matter. We have basically the same issue. If it's sloping upward, by the way, we're dealing with possibly a more stringent outcome after the fact. Basically, this is, as the name implies, it's a topping process. It fools a lot of people. Here's why. If you look, you'll see that 0.4 more often than not is lower than 0.2. So you have a new low. If you may recall, back at the end of June and early July, we had a head and shoulders pattern that looked awfully enticing. In fact, it pulled a lot of people in to go short here simply because it was a valid pattern at the time, but it blew up. Head and shoulders patterns do have about a 7% failure rate, so we'll talk about that as far as the broadening top formation as well. So in this particular case, this potential sell signal at 0.4 actually was a false lead. We now had a very good rally out of the July 8th low back up to 0.5, and that brings us to today. So let's, without any further ado, I'm just going to bring in a couple of indexes here. The first index is the NASDAQ. This is not as clear, although it does have the broadening formation. This is an up-tilted formation. By the way, it's quite bearish, and we'll get into more detail about this as we're going. But one of the things, the reason I'm saying it's bearish, is that we have actually a potential reversal pattern off the top of the NASDAQ here, off 1633, which just occurred within the last week. So we have a situation with the NASDAQ that is looking not so good right now. And let's change over to the Standard & Poor's Index. We see a horizontal broadening top here, and again there's a little bit less of a reversal pattern here, but nonetheless it's there. Basically, we made a higher high today and a lower low, so in a sense you can see it's a very tiny broadening top formation right at the end in the last 4 days. So that's what we're seeing now. And finally, let's go to the Dow, and the industrials also have a broadening top formation, very clear. Now, one of the points that I want to make, let me go to the pattern again, is that the market does not necessarily have to go all the way up to the trend line at 0.5. In fact, a failure to meet that upper trend line is actually quite bearish. So let's go back and compare. The industrials did not touch the top of this trend line. So we have a very interesting situation here, which I want to just call to your attention. So the essence of what I'm discussing here in very brief form is we have a potential for a top. You better prepare If you are long and very, very adamantly bullish, you might want to change your opinion about things, or at least take a look at the other side. Right now, this pattern is very, very ripe for a drop. And on top of that, I study the cyclical nature of the market, and we are due for a cycle bottom here in the next couple of weeks. So having said all of that, I just want to warn that this pattern can be quite dramatic. So let's go back to the pattern again one more time. Where do we go from here? From point 5, I didn't number them, but the next point, let's call it point 6, will be substantially below point 4, sometimes in the vicinity, more often than not, in the vicinity of 5 to 10% lower. So in the Standard & Poor's, for example, we're talking about 785 to 825 as a potential target. There's no guarantee on meeting the target. This is just the way the pattern works. And then finally, point 7 is a rebound, a partial recovery, usually in the range of 50 to 60% of the decline. What's interesting on the Standard & Poor's is that we have an open gap that could be filled at about 912 on the S&P. So that might be the potential target for point 7. And then finally, point 8, I'm sorry to say, is quite substantially lower. So I just want to bring back to you the notion that technical analysis works. We have to allow for failures. The Head and Shoulders pattern back in June and July failed. The Head and Shoulders pattern has a 7% failure rate. We've had a lot of Head and Shoulders patterns that succeeded over the last couple of years, so this one, a failure is not out of the norm. You just have to live with it. That's the market for you. It does its best to produce, to make as many people wrong as it possibly can, especially at the turns. I see no other people talking about the broadening top formation here, although it's very, very evident from this video, and I think it's very well worth sitting up and taking notice. If you want to follow this in more detail, I have a daily newsletter for subscribers. You can go to my website, www.thepracticalinvestor.com. Go over to company and then other services, and you'll see a brief description of the newsletter. Or you can email me at tonyc@thepracticalinvestor.com. And I'll love to send you back the information on it and get you enrolled. So that is a blow-by-blow, day-by-day, following what's going to happen with points 6, 7, and 8. And I think that's going to be very, very key to people's, maybe even your survival here, if point 8 becomes very dramatic. So thank you very much for spending the time with me. I wanted to give you a heads up of what I'm seeing here, and give you a chance to subscribe and get the blow-by-blow pattern as it unravels here and comes towards us. So thanks very much. Have a great afternoon, and by all means, please do the right thing. Thank you.